All right, we get some nice character development for Major Kira, who in the first few episodes she was just gone and shown as like a foil for Cisco. She was kind of angry with him. She didn't want the Federation in here leading like the Cardassians, and that really as a relationship didn't work out. Now that's tested a little bit in this one, and it kind of builds and progresses the characters quite a bit as she ends up going to this moon where they're going to do some scientific procedure to completely terraform it basically. And there's one holdout. He doesn't want to leave. So this is an eminent domain issue. Like you get into some interesting issues in DS9. Eminent domain is one of them. It's like, are you going to move your house so we can build the highway, right? And is it good to do so for the good of everybody else? Which is pretty interesting as a concept in this one. Now, there's some really good character moments in this that really make it shine, and this ends up being one of the better episodes because of the character moments, at least in the first season. So let's get into this. And yes, the B-plot, like last episode, is Jake and Nog. Like, they really love doing Jake and Nog B-plots, and I wish they do things in the early seasons like, develop Jadzia Dax and Julian a little more because, that you get alluded to that there's this kind of relationship going on, but it really never goes anywhere, and you really don't see too much of Julian's, like, attempts to woo her or whatever, and her shutting him down. You could have some humorous moments in that kind of thing, and it's not there. Or like some O'Brien development. They do it later in the series, but like Jake and Nog really get overused in this season. And the B-plot's like, oh gosh, I want to fast forward through that to get to this because it is such a good emotional moment. So please hit the like and subscribe button as I review all DS9 a little bit here. And guys, I have a Substack now where I'm putting up comics, and this is my comic book Flying Sparks. If you like comic books, I'm doing this as like a web comic. Like every single day, you get a new page, and I would love for you to get in on my comics here. The Substack's in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching and for supporting us. This has been growing very nicely. I write science fiction books as well if you want to check out my Amazon and the like. But yes, this is a good way to start reading where you just get some cool stuff. And it's awesome. Thanks, guys, for being here. All right. So, Kira ends up here, and this old man doesn't want to leave or anything like that. The Federation and the Bajoran government get pretty nasty through this whole deal. Like, his family leaves. He ends up getting hurt. She connects with him, and they end up, burning his house down, and it's just a disaster. On this level, and it's the moral of what do you do in this situation? The good of everybody, they need it for their agriculture or whatever because Bajor's got a famine, or do they just try to appease this guy? This guy refuses to move. He's like, you do your little science fiction, your little sciencey thing. I don't care if it blows up my whole life and kills me here. I built this whole farm from scratch and all that. You're not taking it from me. I'm gonna live and die here. And he keeps working despite his ailing health and the like. And he builds a nice little relationship with Kira where, you really feel for Kira's choice here. Like, she doesn't have a choice. She has to be a military officer and has to do her thing and has to get him out of there. Now, honestly, they should have just pulled him out of there on a shuttle to begin with, not done this stuff, and not really just built this and just, hemmed and hawed this whole time. But at the same time, it just goes to show, it is really sad when this kind of thing happens. And, sometimes there's just not really much of a choice to get things done. It's like, you have to build and you have to do these things. And it's not always going to be morally happily, and it's not always going to be something that's going to be good for everybody. It is one of those Star Trek episodes where there's a moral dilemma and there's no clear, good, answer. It's like, I hate having to do this, but it is for the greater good for the things and all that. Interesting stuff right there. It could also be seen the flip side of government overreach and just how much they're willing to just sacrifice their own citizens and destroy everything you've built just in the name of their own progress. I mean, you could look at it from the other way as well, which is something pretty interesting, and that's definitely the way the old man character was looking at it. Now, like I said, Kira really didn't have a choice. She had to follow orders. She had to get this done. She couldn't just sit here and do too much. As much as she was trying to convince him to actually go and all that, she failed at that. And once she failed at that, she went just a little off the rails, staying a little too far. But she understood, and the plight of her understanding made for really nice character moments, as I've said before. So leave a comment down below. I would call this one an 8 out of 10, one of the better episodes of the first season. Thank you guys for being here. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Sign up for my Substack in the description below. And thank you for being here.